done away with. Continue on, please.
For this sort.
Right? And what happened to our people? Did they diminish? Were they spoiled? Nope. Our state of our people was destroyed, even more than it was. Right?
So, you got any more questions, brother? You here sitting here, you talking about some things, so I just want to know what your understanding is versus what God says. Because a lot of our people use their own words. Alright, they go off of their own understanding. So, what is your understanding versus what God is actually saying, thus saith the Lord?
My understanding is
Make it short. I don't want to hear too many words because our people like to talk a lot. Alright?
we have to follow him, and we have to believe in him and do what he says.
Alright.
Because that's the only way we will really gain knowledge. And in other words, we have to live and to exercise his words, put his words into practice, so that knowledge shall increase.
Alright, so you're saying we have to live by his words.
Yeah.
Alright, so that means we have to, we're going to get that. We want to attain knowledge. Alright, and we want to observe something. We want to apply something to our lives daily. So we're going to get that, thus saith the Lord. Alright, so what is knowledge according to the scriptures? Give me that. Alright, hold on, brother, hold on. Hold your peace. We're going to get knowledge, because you mentioned knowledge. I want you to have an understanding what knowledge is. Read. The book of Malachi, chapter 2, verse 7.
The book of Malachi, chapter 2, verse 7. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge.
Stop. So a priest's lips should keep knowledge. When you go into these Christian churches, or these so-called Christian churches, all right, they preach a form of Christianity where they don't keep the laws. They tell you that the laws are done away with, but the laws aren't done away with. Read that again from the top.
The book of Malachi, chapter 2, verse 7. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge.
All right, so the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and what is that knowledge?
And they should seek the law at his mouth.
Alright, so when you go to obtain knowledge, you're supposed to be obtaining the law, understanding of the law. Alright, give us Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 8. Because now we're going to show you why we're out here. We're not just out here bringing forth prophecy. We're out here to give you understanding, to give you the sense of what God is actually saying. Because these pastors and these crooked Christian churches ain't teaching you this. Read.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 8, verse 8. So they read in the book, in the law of God distinctly.
Stop. So we're in this Bible every day, reading in this Bible, looking for understanding daily, to get a clear understanding for what?
And gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading.
Because we're going to come out here to give you the sense so you can understand what God is actually saying. Because these pastor churches don't want you to know what God's actually saying. They don't want you to inherit the kingdom, everlasting life. What they want to put you in is a false understanding so you'll continue to pay the money. Alright, so we know what knowledge is. What are you supposed to be doing? Deuteronomy 10 and 12. Alright, because you were saying, alright, I want knowledge and I need to apply the laws to my life. Or you said the word. Alright, so what is the word? It's the laws. Alright, read.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10, verse 12. And now Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee?
Alright, so you are pretty much stating what this is about to say. You wanted to know what God requires of you. So now you're going to learn. Read.
But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul.
So how do we do these things? Read that. Let's read that again, and we're going to go through it slowly so we can give you the understanding of what's being said
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10, verse 12. And now Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee?
Stop. All right, so you are part of the nation of Israel. What tribe are you from, brother? What is your nationality? What is your father?
My father is a black man.
A black man from where? I hear you have an accent, so I know he's not a black man from America. He's from an island somewhere. The Caribs? Haiti? Where from, brother?
Jamaica.
From Jamaica. So you see yourself on the sign? Where would the so-called West Indians, Jamaicans, be from? The ones from Barbados. They be from the tribe of Benjamin. Alright? You from the tribe of Benjamin. So read that again from the top. I want you to have an understanding that you are part of the nation of Israel. So you ain't going to go under this understanding that you're just a child of God. No, this is talking directly to you. Read.
And now, Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee?
All right, you, tribe of Benjamin, from the nation of Israel, read.
But to fear the Lord thy God.
So how do we fear God? How do we fear God?
Well, to fear God, man, is you have to really use His commandments.
What? Stop. It took you too long. When it give you the fear of God, thus saith the Lord. All right? Proverbs chapter 8, verse 13. This is the fear of God. The reason I stopped you, right, is because you were trying to formulate your own opinion that wasn't based off of what the scriptures said. All right? So now we're going to give you what God actually says. Read.
The book of Proverbs chapter 8, verse 13. The fear of the Lord.
Stop. The fear of the Lord. This is the fear of the Lord. Read.
Is to hate evil.
To hate evil. What is evil?
Wrong things, man.
What are those wrong things? You say wrong things, but anything could be wrong in any man's eyes.
Everything that's bad is wrong thing.
Anything that's bad. All right, we're going to show you that evil. Give me
Sin.
1 John chapter 3, verse 4. All right, we'll show you what evil actually is. Right, because you just said the wrong thing. But I could be over there in China. Teaching Christianity, teaching the Bible in China is wrong. That's the wrong thing. All right, so we're going to show you what God actually says. Read that.
The book of 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin, transgresseth also the law.
Because in these Christian churches, they don't tell you what evil is. They don't tell you what sin is. They just said you should not sin. But sin is the transgression of the Lord's laws. All right? To be in the midst of sin is to break the laws. That's evil. Read.
For sin is the transgression of the law.
All right, so now we have an understanding of what evil is. Let's go back to Proverbs 8 and 13.
The book of Proverbs chapter 8, verse 13. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil.
All right, to hate evil, read.
Pride and arrogancy.
Pride and arrogancy. All right, pride is using your own understanding to understand what God is actually saying. All right, to put yourself before the Most High God. To say, this is what I believe, so I'm going to follow what I believe versus what God says. That's also arrogancy, read.
And the evil way and the froward mouth do I hate.
The forward mouth is somebody who's difficult to deal with. Somebody who's always against what or in opposition to the words of God. So let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. So we got the understanding of what knowledge was. We got the understanding what evil was, what the fear of the Lord was. Read.
And now Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee? But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul.
So how do you serve God with all thy heart and with all thy soul? Matter of fact, what is your heart?
Well, I would say my heart is the understanding of the Lord. And
alright, we're going to take that one. Your heart is the understanding of the Lord. Let's see what God says. The man's heart is. Give me Mark chapter 7. Yep. So hold that real quick. So we heard the fear of the Lord, right? So why is it important that you need to fear the Lord God before you can walk in all his ways and before you can serve him with all your heart and with all thy soul? Why is that important?
well, it is important because normally, to me, to gain the communication with the Creator, because that's the way I use it, I don't say the Lord. To have the communication with the Creator, that's why you have to live in a certain way and act in a certain way. So as to gain the spiritual sense of the Creator, because normally...
Well, hold on. So, to have communication with God.
Yeah.
You were kind of there, but we're going to show you what that means. So, let's get Psalms 111, verse 10. Alright. Why it is important to have the fear of the Lord? Because there's something you can't do, which is to communicate with the Most High, if you don't fear the Lord, right? Read.
The book of Psalms, chapter 111, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Alright, when you fear the Lord, you'll have wisdom. We'll go into that. And
A good understanding have all they that do his commandments.
And understanding will also get into that. But a person who fears the Lord, or the beginning of the fear of the Lord, is to have wisdom. Because you know that my ways in this world were not right. So now I'm going to go back and repent, serve the Most High God. And then with that application to my life, I will show that I have understanding. And we're going to get that. So give me wisdom, not wisdom, give me Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 6, and then hold Job 28 verse 28. Alright, so now we're going to get the understanding of what wisdom is. Alright, what understanding is, and then we're going to understand what the heart is. Alright, what's in men's hearts. Alright, because you said, what was your heart again? See, you grabbed your chest right there. Why'd you grab your chest?
Well, listen, this is, when it's talk about heart, you're not talking about this heart.
Alright.
That's what I'm saying.
Alright. Well, let's leave the understanding there. You are right. You are right.
Yeah.
It's not talking about that pump in your chest.
No.
It's not.
No.
Alright, so let's get Alright, let's give Deuteronomy
The
4
book
verse
of
6.
Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is the wisdom, for this is your wisdom, and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
Is that it?
Which shall hear all the statutes and say, surely this is a great nation and a wise and understanding people.
So when we're applying the laws to our lives, when we do the law, statutes, and commandments, we are wise. Right, because we're not going to be turning our sisters into whores. We're not going to be selling drugs in our community. Our men and our women aren't going to be walking around hating themselves, putting blonde colors in their hair, green hair, excessive makeup, bleaching their skin like they do in the West Indies, right? This is all showing that they hate themselves because they envy their oppressor. They envy the so-called white man that put them in slavery. They want to look just like them, so they do things that aren't natural because they hate themselves. So give me Job chapter 28 verse 28, which is understanding as well. So this is the beginning of the fear of the Lord is to have, what does it say? Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and a good understanding have they that do the commandments. Alright, so now we're going to get the understanding.
The book of Job chapter 28 verse 28. And unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom.
So we understood what wisdom is, right? Deuteronomy 4 and 6 gave us how we gain wisdom. Read.
And to depart from evil is understanding.
So to depart from evil. Right? To depart from evil is to have knowledge, wisdom, and then apply that to a situation and remove yourself.
That's a part of me.
Alright?
Right here.
Alright, but hold on. So we got wisdom and we got understanding. So now we know why it's important to have the fear of the Lord, but now to walk in the Lord's ways and to serve Him with your heart and soul, first we must understand what is the heart. Alright? Read.
The book of St. Mark, chapter 7, verse 21.
Start from verse 20.
That defileth the man.
Stop. So these are Christ's words, and He's saying the things that come. Read that again.
That which cometh out of the man, that defileth the man.
So it's the things that come out of us that defiles us, and
for within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts.
Because out of our hearts proceed evil thoughts. So it's not talking about that pump in your chest.
The action.
No, but what did it just say? Where do thoughts come from? Read that again for this brother. Listen
From
carefully.
within, out of the heart of men, proceeded evil thoughts.
Thoughts. Proceed evil thoughts. What produces thoughts?
That's the action, man.
What produces thoughts?
That's the brain.
Alright, so your heart is your brain. That's what it's talking about. I can't do something evil unless I think about it, right? I can't pull a trigger unless I think about it. I can't rob somebody unless I think about it. I can't commit adultery unless I think about it. So read that again. It's not talking about some unattainable thing. It's not talking about something that's invisible, mystical. It's talking about the brain in your head. Read that again.
The book of St. Mark, chapter 7, verse 21. For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts.
Alright? So now we have to understand the heart is your mind. Read.
Adulteries.
That's one of the main things that persists in our community, right? Adultery. There's adultery in the Christian churches. There's adultery running rampant through all our communities, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. No matter where you find us, we can be in the islands, we can be in South and Central America, we can be overseas. Adultery is there with us. Read.
Fornication.
Fornication as well. Those are for are men and are young men and women going in and out of the bed, boyfriend and girlfriends, to be clear. Read.
Murders.
Murders are rampant in all our communities, in all our societies. Because when you look at the black and Hispanic community here in America, gun violence is rampant. Drugs is rampant. Pimping our sisters is rampant. You go to Central America, rampant. All right, because when you look at the tribe of Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, violence everywhere. When you read about our brothers and sisters down there in South America, violence is everywhere. Read. Thefts. Covetousness. Wickedness.
Deceit. Lasciviousness.
All right, lasciviousness is lewd sexual desires that you might have. Homosexuality. Read.
An evil eye. Blasphemy. Pride. Foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile the man.
That is the evil way. All right, the fear of the Lord is to hate the evil way. That is the evil way. When you enjoy these things, when you enjoy committing adultery, murder, fornication, theft, covetousness, these things, you're showing that you have no understanding, because you're not applying the laws of God to your lives, because you're still doing these things.
Shalom, Israel. I'm Elder Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. YouTube likes to shut our channels down, as some of you have noticed, ever so often. Subscribing to join IUIC will assure you will always stay connected to our YouTube accounts. We want to do our best to make sure this truth gets out. Please click and join our subscriber YouTube channel called Join IUIC to stay linked to all of our videos. So again, please make sure you subscribe to this Join IUIC channel to get your latest updates from all our YouTube channels. Shalom.